was shot dead by a federal agent while her whole family and neighbors watched. Her last words were an attempt to de-escalate the situation. She was confronted, but the agent's response was lethal. We are told by our political leaders that this is necessary for our safety. We are told this is strength, but if we analyze the behavior as a psychologist, we look at the data, and I see a system built on trauma, funded by your tax dollars and insulated by absolute legal immunity.
Let's start.
Welcome back to the Ethics Skill podcast, where we explore human experiences. Today, we aren't just talking about politics. We are performing an autopsy on a government agency that has evolved from post 9/11 necessity into a force that is traumatizing the very people it was sworn to protect. We also have to talk about the silence of those agents that know this is wrong but can't speak, and also the silence of the American people who disagree with these policies, but yet they feel powerless to stop it. But the question is, how can you stop a federal agency that has immunity? In order to understand the immunity ICE has today with creating internal terror and doing all these raids, we have to understand the pendulum swing. Let's go back to relative time. To understand 2026, we have to look back. Politics is physics. Very similar. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And let's look at what happened under the Biden administration. We saw outstanding record numbers of border encounters, thousands of people crossing the U.S. border, coming from different countries, all from Latin America, escaping the horrors and terrors and poverty of their country, escaping dictatorship, perhaps looking for that American dream for some. Or whether you view that as a humanitarian crisis or a policy failure, the perception of an open border created a massive psychological recoil in the country. And I will explain why. Those that crossed the border infiltrated the good and the bad, and that bad also committed crime in the country, created chaos, uncertainties. And for those that live here, it created the concern and that fear, which is justified. But what did the current administration, how they use that fear to justify the crackdown we see today? Perhaps a very radical decision. Was it the only way to stop crime? One of the things you always hear is we need to regain control. But they didn't close the door. Our government did not close the door. What happened is they militarized the house. We swung from a policy of overwhelming influx to a policy of overwhelming force. And unfortunately, Renee Good was caught in the middle of this pendulum swing, costing her life and now motherless kids. Something we need to reflect. What would those kids think about their mother and the country that sworn to protect her and her mother? This is a